Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a really crucial transmission engine within the IT architecture. We're talking about the Add Invoice Service. If you've ever wondered how user inputs actually bridge the gap and talk to the massive IJMISC mainframe, well, you're in exactly the right place. We're going to break down exactly how this portal functions, what it depends on behind the scenes, and how to keep it running smoothly.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Purpose of Add Invoice. 2. Source code and deployment. 3. AWS ECS infrastructure. 4. Key external service dependencies. And 5. Troubleshooting common system errors.
All right, let's jump into Section 1, Purpose of Add Invoice, the business why. So before we get bogged down in the heavy technical details, why does this service even exist? Essentially, Add Invoice is a portal that provides a free-form memo line or description that's used to generate a manual invoice. You can kind of think of it as the direct reference point, or the bridge, right to the IJMISC mainframe screen. It literally takes a user's intent and translates it directly into the system of record.
Through this portal, users can actually generate invoices for everyday true rentals, pull up older archived rentals, manage administrative pseudo rentals, and even handle GL or general ledger reclassifications. By looking at these real business processes, we can see this isn't just some random IT tool. It's a completely vital interface for managing the financial reality of the entire rental fleet. Now, for the specific click-by-click user steps, there's always the manual found under the portal's help icon, but this right here is the absolute core of what the service enables every single day.
Moving right along to Section 2, Source code and deployment, the pipeline setup.
Okay, now that we know what it does, let's look under the hood at the pipeline. You've got to appreciate the incredibly clean, reliable pattern of separation we have here, even with those delightfully long Jenkins pipeline names. The source code repository on AWS Code Commit is just super neatly divided. The dev branch feeds the development pipeline, the pre-prod branch feeds the pre-prod pipeline, and the production branch feeds the prod pipeline. It's this beautifully standardized deployment flow where the environment, the Git branch, and the Jenkins service all align perfectly.
Section 3. AWS ECS infrastructure. Scaling across brands.
So once it's deployed, the service doesn't just sit in one giant, messy bucket. The AWS ECS infrastructure is actually distinctly split across three major car rental brands: Avis, Budget, and Payless. And it gets even cooler when you look at the pre-prod and production environments. In those higher-level environments, the services for Avis, Budget, and Payless are further divided into AZ and AZB availability zones, which basically means the infrastructure is carefully separated not just by brand, but spread across zones to guarantee high availability and scale.
On to Section 4. Key external service dependencies, the connections.
Because let's face it, absolutely no service operates in a vacuum. On one hand, you have internal dependencies like history rental service.java. This is an Omega service call that the Add Invoice portal uses to check whether a specific rental is actually present on the mainframe or not. But contrast that internal lookup with an external utility call like the voltage utility. The voltage utility, which lives in the encryption utilities folder, is called specifically to handle encryption. It's just a great side-by-side comparison showing how the service balances its internal data checks with external security protocols.
And the dependency list goes on. First up is the CSAM URL. Now don't get lost in the IT alphabet soup here. That just acts as the sign-on location fetcher. Then there's the IAJ 2001X link, which is absolutely critical because it connects to the payment gateway service for credit card authorizations. Without that, nobody's paying for anything. We also have the CDH service link, which pulls specific wizard details against a charged card account. The pre-audit URL checks the pre-audit status of a rental. And finally, the user groups link is a web seal service call to determine user roles. Understanding all these connections is a huge deal, because if the Add Invoice portal starts acting up, the actual root cause might be hiding in one of these dependent services.
Section 5. Troubleshooting common system errors. Welcome to the escape room.
I always like to think of troubleshooting like a giant diagnostic escape room, where the application support team are the heroes. So let's start with our very first scenario. What happens if the rental simply isn't on the mainframe?
Well, when that happens, you're going to get blasted with this very loud, all-caps system error message: adjustment restricted, rental not on wizard, reload R for processing. This is clue number 1 in our diagnostic puzzle. It clearly tells us that the rental is completely missing from the mainframe.
But don't panic, because the cure for this scary-looking error is actually super direct. You just need to reload the rental on the mainframe. Boom! Once it's there, the Add Invoice service can proceed as normal. It is a very satisfying, actionable fix.
Okay, let's look at another one. What if the system yells, "Application is in light mode 4"? This actually happens when reverse replication fails beyond a certain threshold. Sounds a bit intimidating, right? But resolving it is a very methodical process. Step 1. Recognize that the threshold failure happened. Step 2. Go check your polling detail table. And Step 3. Check the polling error table. When you break it down into these simple steps, a really daunting system message just becomes a clear action plan for the support team.
All right, let's rapid fire through the rest of these error symptoms so you're fully equipped for battle. If you get a transaction rejected or database update error, you're dealing with a technical issue, often a null exception or a Java SQL failure. The cure? Go check your AWS logs and related tables. Seeing no response from Payment Gateway, that means the system literally couldn't authenticate the credit card, so check the Payment Gateway response codes. An update access restricted message? That just means you need to go connect with the IT security team or check the user role setups. And finally, no data found for sign-on location means your CSAM locations just aren't set up properly. As you can see, every single error has a specific, logical cure.
Before we wrap this up, I want to highlight this one critical detail from the documentation. Does the add invoice service impact reverse replication? The answer is a definitive, all caps, yes. This means syncing data back from the cloud to the legacy systems. Its stability is deeply, deeply interconnected with the system's broader data replication health.
Which brings us to our final thought. When an IT support engineer resolves a Java SQL failure or fixes a CSAM location error, they're not just clearing a ticket out of a queue. With reverse replication on the line, they are literally ensuring that data flows seamlessly across environments for Avis, Budget, and Payless. So how does mastering these seemingly small technical dependencies ensure the massive global rental fleet keeps running smoothly? I'll leave you to think about the incredible scale of that impact. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep learning.